And we, our farm is located about 13 miles north and east of Hays, Kansas. We're off the beaten path. So if you want to come visit, it's a highway, it's a blacktop, it's a white rock road, it's an oil field lease road, then it's a pasture road. So that's how we get to our place, and we love it. It's a beautiful place when it's sweet and green. We our family, small family run business. We breed these horses, show them, share them with the public, do weddings, funerals, go just enjoy being around a big draft horse that is for the public, for us to share. So
probably our most fulfilling time of the year is this time of the year, Christmas.
Yeah, we give rides and get caroled to by riders and carolers, and Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus rides, and it's just a joyful time of year, and we pretty much got everybody in. We missed 3 this year, but there's another year and we'll build and go from there. We got started a few years back. It's always been a dream of mine to own a draft horse, and an opportunity arose, and so we bought our first 3 and they built from there. They happened to be mares, and we just kind of grew our herd, bought a few more, and then it's just been fun over the years to see what we've raised and what we've sold, and what works and what we maybe need to change, but it's always been a joy.
Sit.
The mares was my fault. When we moved out to our 80 acres, we didn't have the horses yet, and they weren't really in that deal, so we started raising some cattle. And when the wife said she wanted to have some geldings around to do rides, and that was her main focus at that time, I said, well, if we do that, maybe we can have some mares, and we'll just raise some foals, and that will help offset our costs. So I'm the reason we have the mares, but since we've had the mares and we have foals and we get to share those pictures on our Facebook account, that is one of our main focuses too now, to at least have 2 or 3 foals around every year.
Tell me about that day. Reiterate, just start from the beginning.
I guess I'll have to speak up on that. I was still at home. That morning I got up and we just got a new computer in from Dale, and not all the information was on it, so I got on the phone and we got things working. Dale got on and helped me get stuff when we had to go to Microsoft to get everything finished up, and it was about a 4-hour ordeal. So I went out after we got that all finished up and was just doing paperwork basically at home. And the wind started blowing, so I wasn't able to go out and do any work outside. If you threw any hay in the pens, it just all disappeared. And I don't know what time it is. It's kind of a blur. I didn't have a watch. The power went out. I called the power company, Midwest Energy, and so they said they were working on it. And then it wasn't very much later after that. The winds kept blowing, and I smelled some smoke, but it really didn't smell like a big fire or anything like that. So I went out, and the wind was just blowing so hard, and I thought, well, if it is a fire, I need to get these horses out. So I headed for our stud pens to let the studs loose. The rest of the horses are in the pasture already, and I couldn't make it to it. I turned into the wind, and I had to walk in the soot at that time, and the dirt and the debris that was in the air. It would just burn my eyes, so I was unable to make it to their pens. So I basically left them there after trying several times and was going to go back to the house. I couldn't make it back to the house due to the way the wind was blowing and the dirt in my eyes. So we have a large open area that is rock, which we'd always had in our fire plan to put everything there, and our trucks happened to all be there. So I went to one of the trucks and basically sat there, and I never did see the fire coming looking west, just through the dirt and debris. It was unreal. I just felt that it was a really bad dirt storm. I'd never been through one before like this. So as I'm sitting there, one of our geldings comes up and he runs. You could tell something had set him off, and he ran around the edge of the barn just as the fire got there. And as he turned, this large orange glow came up, and he reared up and slipped and fell on the ground, and that's where he laid. And that's when the fire was there. The fire went through fairly quick after that, as far as the grass, and then I still couldn't see to leave, so I had to sit there, and the way I was facing, I watched our whole barn.
You're okay.
And our house burn up. So after that, it started to clear. So I went and let the two stallions out, not wanting to, but we had no feed at that time. There was water there, we felt, but what we didn't know at that time is that the water tanks were already full of sludge just from the dirt and debris that had collected in them. But I seen some of the other horses. I drove up to them, and they were in pretty good shape, and then it cleared up. And then we have neighbors directly to the east of them, so I switched my attention there, and I got over there, and about that time they were stuck in their Quonset as their house was starting to burn. So we loaded up. They had 3 dogs, so we loaded them up with our 2 dogs in my truck, and I got them in there, and they told me everybody was looking for me because nobody could find me. So we called and got information to my wife and to my son that was out trying to reach us, and told them to turn back, that we were all okay, that we were going to make it out. My neighbor then alluded to me that she had called 911 and been told that you're on your own. It says, we can't reach you. So they had spent the time in there watching it go in their Quonset. So we loaded them up and we started to head back for town, and we were unable to go the direction we had, and we were turning around. At that time, the EMS guys got there, and they said, just follow us out, and we followed a long way out, and they got us back to Hayes. The directions we were going, we still had to pass through the fire at different times, and you just couldn't hardly believe the heat that was coming through that truck as we were still moving. We lost sight of the EMS truck that was ahead of us maybe 9-10 feet. You couldn't even see the flashing lights. So we just prayed that we were going straight and not running into the ditch. And they got us out, and our neighbors and us, we went to town and we found us a motel room and called it a night.
Okay. I guess step through the next day. Anything you can think of.
Okay. Well, of course, after getting up in the morning and realizing that your lives just got changed, so our phones kind of started going off, and so we were trying to filter
My
calls.
wife's phone, I didn't have one.
Right. So managing one phone and trying to decide what calls I really need to take and what calls I need to kind of respond a little bit later. But we've learned that through of course nephews and Dr. Mack over in Plainville, there were horse trailers and stuff that were being organized to come out and help us with our herd. And so we kind of coordinated time to be out, and we used our neighbor Paul and Debbie's place as a headquarters because they're right by the road. And so we asked them and they allowed us to. And so we got the horse trailers were headed our way. We got our veterinarian, Dr. Chris Harris from Hayes, called. And so she was kind of on the ready too. And we went out to the farm, to our place, and discovered, we found one horse by himself, Gunner, and he was off by himself, and he probably sustained the most fire injuries. and we let him stay where he was at. We knew where he was at. He wasn't going to move, so he was fine. And we went on over to see where we could find, and we had none of our pickups were destroyed. Our horse trailer was not destroyed, so they were parked in very good places. And so we're kind of reassessing our plans. The horse trailers are coming down the lane, so we all got together and went down into the meadow and found all the horses, and everybody stayed calm and let us, catch the ones that we needed to catch and get rope halters on them, because we don't have any draft size halters, but we made the rope ones fit and divided them up between trailers, and got them back over to our neighbor's place, where we circled the wagons, so to speak, and tied them all outside the horse trailer and lined them up. And our vet was there by then, and her assistant Brooke were going down the line assessing health and who needs to go where. And so we ended up with 6 of them were good enough and healthy enough that they could go to our nephews, Vincent and Patrick's place, and be put in a nice big lot corral, fresh water and hay there, so to recoup for a while. And then we had 4 that needed to go to Dr. Harris in Hayes, to her clinic. And then our 2 stallions needed to go separate, and a friend of ours, Renee, over at Walker, took those 2 because she knows how to manage the stallions and take care of them. And so in the process of the 5 days now, Gunner is improving each day, and just, it's a burn issue, but he seems to be improving. Our 2 mares have now gone from Hayes Clinic. They're up in Phillipsburg for just some continued TLC by a couple of vet techs that are excited to have Clydesdales up there. They need to be continued on some Regimate to help hold the foals.
Their tails had caught on fire, and so their vulvas had severe burns on them. So that's what we're treating right now, and they are healing very well. But that is why we can't handle them. We don't have a barn or facilities to take them to and to keep up with the doctoring at this point.
So those girls are doing well. And then we had a yearling stallion that his breathing wasn't quite right the first couple of days, but he improved, and so he's not at the clinic anymore. But our senior stallion, Q, he's at the vet clinic because I think when the storm was over, he was trying to protect his mares, and he was biting on our gelding, who happened to have shoes on, and the gelding connected with the back foot and cracked Q's jaw. So Q gets to spend 4 weeks at the vet having his jaw repair a little bit. So it's just part of it's just part of that nature taking care of each other. So so we have 2 left at the vet in Hayes with Dr. Harris, and then we have 2 up at the vet clinic, Cross Point Vet. Yeah, I think that's right.
At Phillipsburg.
Okay.
And the people at Phillipsburg, we're providing the hay and some feed grain and the medicine for them, but they are standing behind, and they're going to take care of the mares at their cost. And right now, it is believed that the mare, or the Dr. Chris Harris, was giving us her time, but the medicine is going to be paid by outside sources. So that is working out very well.
Do you need maybe what have you already gotten for people, and then we can evolve that into where to go and just converse like you've been doing?
Well, right now we received 2 semi-loads of hay and some square bales of alfalfa, small square bales that the small square bales we feed our horses, the whole herd, about 1 bale a day. We split it out to keep them up on their protein count, because we are a breeding operation where we have 3 mares that are bred, and they're still bred at this time. And then we have 3 other brood mares that we will be breeding in the spring. And at this point, it looks like we probably will not breed the mares that are in foal this year, just to give them some rest from all the other stress. So, and so we'll have to look at the other mares and see how stressed they are. If we feel that they're ready to be bred, we will breed those mares. So the hay, we're probably going to be not able to use our pasture for the next year, the way it looks at this point. So basically, we're going to have a year-round supply of hay, and usually we have 2 80-acre pastures that we use to run our horses on in the summer. So we're still going to need more hay, but at this point, to avoid shipping it and moving it, if people still wanted to give hay, we're open to that. But if there's some way, if they contact us, if we could leave it where it is and then just maybe ship it once. If we bring it to our pasture, it's just, you wouldn't believe there's nothing there. It looks like a desert at this point. So we're currently looking, and we have some leads on something, trying to find something closer to Hayes that possibly we could rent. So we may need some help with the funds with that, if that's available. So we can bring our herd back together and be able to be with them and take care of them ourselves. We're really appreciative of the people that are taking care of them now, but we're kind of running ragged now, running back and forth from one place to the other.
And they're doing a fine job. They're doing good, but
yes,
we love taking care of them. It's just being a part of them.
We will need to build our entire fences around our 80 acres there that is ours, and so that'll involve 1.5 miles of fencing materials. We went and checked in with the USDA and FSA, and currently the way things are set up right now, because we are a horse breeding operation, we're not able to apply for a lot of the fencing and some of the other programs. We're gonna have to build a whole new home. We'll have to build a barn and put stalls back in it. Buy mats to put down on where we use those in our operation. Another thing that we're going to need to rebuy is, and part of the barn, we kind of use our barn for multi-stuff, and all the equipment that doesn't ride on my truck from my welding business was in there. So we're going to have $10,000 to $20,000 probably of equipment that I've lost, and we have insurance on part of it, but it's not going to pay for everything. And from what we're finding since the pandemic has come in here, the prices of everything have went through the roof. So what we thought was adequate for insurance on our farm and our barn is not going to cover the costs, quite frankly. And we will rebuild, and we know we can do without a lot of stuff, but anything anybody wants to send to us or help donate to us would be really appreciated, more than they can tell.
I don't know. Horse feed, grain feed.
Horse feed, yeah, we'll have to have that. That's.
But it's just.
We don't have any place to store
it. We don't have any storage for any grain. And again, we don't want to have to. It's one of those move twice sort of things, So, we've been fortunate in we have friends in the area that are draft horse people, and they've been able to bring us some draft size halters, because we're not able to go down to our local farm stores and get draft size halters. But so we've got draft size halters that have come in leads. We have a few turnout blankets, and
we could probably use a few more.
But
our horses, you know how the Kansas weather is. If they get wet, that's where we really worry about them. So we're trying to get some turnout blankets in case the weather rolls in, because we don't have a barn to bring them into.
To get out of the weather. They don't have as much shelter, but you know, that's it's kind of where we're at with all of that.
Probably, if you can think of it, about a horse or about a house, we're going to need it, but we just don't. We're going to have to wait on building the fence. The ground is so dry out there. If we bring in a bunch of heavy equipment, they're just going to tear it up, and the ground in these hills up there on the Saline River, and it'll go for all the farmers and ranchers there. It's not very far down to the rock. So if we knock off all the dirt on the top, we're not going to get any grass to grow back for quite a while.
Okay. Where have you had people set up places to donate? Let's go over
okay. We have a
Say that again.
Sunflower Clydesdales GoFundMe page, and then we also have at First State Bank in Plainville, Kansas, Post Office Box 160-67663, a Sunflower Clydesdale account that can be a direct send to them. Donations can be sent to that bank if that's what they would like to do.